dying. And that's why he died like a dog. He died like a coward. He was whimpering, screaming, and crying. And frankly, I think it's something that should be brought out so that his followers and all of these young kids that want to leave various countries, including the United States, they should see how he died. He didn't die a hero, he died a coward. Crying, whimpering, screaming, and bringing 3 kids with him to die. Certain death.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, does the takedown of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi mark the beginning of a new set of operations aimed at exposing the deep state and their international trafficking, whether it's humans, drugs, and most importantly, weapons? Does this all also connect back to Benghazi and the takedown of Ambassador Stevens? What was he in possession of? Was it a server? And did it contain very critical classified information that was trying to be passed on to our enemies? You guys are going to want to stick around to check out this and a whole lot more. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. As always, thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. We always check the queue board. Nothing new here. I'll let you know as soon as new queue posts come up. We're still waiting for the website to come up. But look, we have a lot going down right now as we speak, and we're going to get right into that. But first, we have to just remind ourselves every time. I always want to point it out. There is suppression of this content on a regular basis. They do not suggest it. They will not do anything to help get this content out there, which is why I depend on you guys to hit that share button. Watch these last few videos, share them on your social media, including this one about the declassified interview that I did with these whistleblowers coming forward about what happened in Benghazi. We're going to talk about Benghazi in this episode and how it connects to what's going on with Syria. And there's so much there. Also, watch the last video about the finders. This is incredible stuff. Also, watch the rest of the videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. All you have to do is hit the share button. It helps channel. And if you're scratching your head going, what is this guy talking about? What is QAnon? Watch this video right here. What is QAnon? The Great Awakening. It'll give you all the information you need. So here we are. President Trump is saying that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was taken out in a incredible military operation raid that took place in northern Syria in the Idlib province, which is where they were trying to resurge this movement that is ISIS. We're going to talk about ISIS here on this channel today a little bit, but we're going to mainly focus on what happened to this individual and how this is all connected to what's going on in the Middle East overall. So this is a part of a statement from President Trump himself. Is released by the White House, whitehouse.gov. And I want to share this last part here because I think it's people have to understand what this meant, what President Trump was saying when he said this. It says, last night was a great night for the United States and for the world. A brutal killer, one who has caused so much hardship and death, was violently eliminated. He will never again harm another innocent man, woman, or child. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place. God bless the United States of America. So there's a lot to pick apart in the speech that President Trump gave. And we're going to talk about some things, but not everything. So I encourage you guys to go down in the comments and start, the conversation down there as well. But this is an important reference. The reference to a dog has a few different meanings. First of all, remember the fact that in Middle Eastern culture, I guess dogs are considered unclean and so on. So there's definitely that as just being the one of the bigger insults that you can give to somebody. So saying that, may resonate more with people in the Middle East. And therefore, that's what President Trump is trying to do. He's trying to basically say this guy died a coward. Therefore, why would you want to, make him a martyr? Because he ran into a tunnel and literally blew himself up and his 3 children and died in the most shameful way that a coward would ever do. It just obviously that bad. But remember, every dog has his day. Do you remember No Name? This is really all connected back, I think, to No Name. And then we're going to talk about the Benghazi. There's kind of not a new theory. It's an old theory that we're going to look at again because it ties everything together and it kind of helps us understand what possibly could be happening, and in order to ask the right questions, I think. But let's just look at this for what it is. Remember when Q reminded us of the connection, direct connection between John McCain and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and their little meetings that they kept having? I think they were in Syria when John McCain was helping formulate the strategy to arm the moderate rebels, right? That was the whole ploy. So this is where we're going to begin, because this is really an important thing to understand that Q has pointed out. And, we got to remember that they were having these face-to-face sit-down meetings. And don't forget this, that we actually held in detention Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi at one point in Camp Bucca, in a prison camp, a military prison camp, in 2009 until the Obama White House agreed to let him go. Well, isn't that convenient? We decided to let go the guy who ends up becoming the head of the supposed caliphate, which is ISIS. And that in and of itself is something that we should really keep in mind and remember. This may have been some sort of coordinated effort to destabilize that region, to open up the trafficking lanes, to provide a way to divert pipelines from different areas across the Middle East into Europe. There's really a lot of, there's very broad geopolitical implications. There's also regional implications. So you have to remember that there is a lot more to this than most people will ever really understand. But don't forget that we held this guy, just like we had all these contacts with Osama bin Laden before he ended up doing what he did. Sometimes it's very strange when you start looking at how our connections are really close with these people who end up being, our public enemy number one a lot of the time. Now, there are some theories out there that we're going to talk about, which I think are really important. But first, we should probably go back and read what Q has to say about all of this, about ISIS and everything. We've had a few posts, I guess you could say, from Q about it. This is one that stood out to me. Okay, this is post 1887 from August of 2018. And basically, an Anon points out to this Sarah Carter article talking about how Al-Qaeda is still a global network showing resilience and is stronger than ISIS in places like Somalia, Yemen, and South Asia. So Q asks us these very important questions. Has intel shared with our enemies been shared with our enemies in an effort to warn them against capture kill? How long did it take to locate kill Osama bin Laden? How many times did we locate Osama bin Laden in the past and stand down orders were given? Why did the White House put itself in the middle of every operation? Why did POTUS immediately remove the White House from the chain of command military engagement equation? How has POTUS been able to essentially destroy ISIS within the first year of his presidency, but Hussein could not throughout his entire term? What is John Brennan's background? Muslim by faith. What is Hussein's background? Muslim by faith. What is Valerie Jarrett's background? Muslim by faith. Then it gives this WikiLeaks article, or email, which goes over the way that they're going to select Muslim American candidates is between John Podesta and people working with Hillary Clinton, I guess. And basically what it talks about is how they're going to find exclusively Muslim Americans, and how they'll even exclude Arabs who aren't Muslim. It's just a strange email in the way it's worded and how it goes. And then it says, why was the Hussein administration breaking down administration by faith? Why was the public sheltered regarding ISIS for so long? Why was Al-Qaeda deemed the primary adversary versus ISIS? Do you believe U.S. intel did not know Osama bin Laden's son was a prominent figure in Al-Qaeda? If known, no live intel or geo-tracking to target? Define clown regional assets, or CIA. Operation Cyclone, Mujahideen Afghanistan, aiding anti-Soviet resistance, withdrawal of Soviet troops, control of $800 million, control of weapons, control of training, Afghan Arabs, Haqqani, and Hekmatyar, Osama bin Laden critical allies. And then it talks about these guys and their relation to the clowns. Obviously, the clowns in action, you know who they are. And it says dark to light, Q. So when you take all of this and you start adding it together, then it starts to paint a really grim picture, especially when you look at certain information that's been brought forward. We're going to talk about these two theories, and then we're going to kind of get into other stuff. But remember, I did this video the other day. We talked to some of these whistleblowers coming forward about Benghazi, 3 incredible Americans. We had Sergeant First Class, retired Sergeant First Class, Army Sergeant First Class, I should say, William Cotel, and a couple of AOC specialists, Nick No and Josh Salmon, and they came forward to talk about what happened in Benghazi that day. And this is a theory about what happened and how it all came to be, and what happened with Hillary Clinton, and how the servers are all connected to this, and how it all ties really back to the Clinton Foundation. This was a theory that was posted, I believe, on the boards a while ago. I think it was an FBI, one of the FBI Anon posts or something similar in that vein, that came out back in around the time of the election. So what does this say? Well, I want to read these two kind of portions to you, and I want you guys to really just take these with a grain of salt. But, you know, listen to this as a theory. It says, ultimately, Hillary sold weapons and coordinates of the Chinook chopper carrying the 12 SEALs that killed bin Laden, along with the rocket that killed them, to the bin Laden family. She used Stevens to arrange the transfer. And this is talking about Ambassador Stevens from the embassy, U.S. embassy in Benghazi, Libya. And this is all a theory. This is not, I'm just reading you what this person is saying theoretically happened, or they're alleging to have happened. It says, she used Stevens to arrange the transfer of funds, which was $1.2 billion to the Clinton Foundation in Swiss accounts. In the deal was nuclear information from classified files from the 70s. She had Stevens in the Pentagon getting a server to take with him to Benghazi. There was a backup server. That was the one in her closet. She then allowed the bin Ladens to amass the people to raid Stevens' compound. Stevens had no idea what he brokered and had no idea that server contained top secret nuclear files. The plan was going great until SEALs and CIA guys from the other compound went over to assist. She did not know they were going to assist and were ordered to stand down. The plan was to kill Stevens and his guys, and in the process allow bin Laden family to have nuclear secrets to one day avenge their son. The plan went south when those guys from the other compound refused to stand down. They get to the compound in time to rescue a few guys, and what else? They ended up with the server. Once word got back to the White House that Stevens' guys were rescued, Hillary ordered a complete stand down to the rescue mission and then told the commander of the invading force to attack the other compound. By that time, she wanted everyone dead and the enemy to have that server. Again, reiterating, this is a theory that is somebody else is alleging, and I'm only reading it to you in the hope of questioning it and bringing this to you guys and you know, seeing what you guys think. It says, during the attack on the compound, a tech guy got into the server. They knew something was very odd. What do they find? Top secret nuclear files. They immediately break standard protocol and transfer the files to a top secret server in case they are overran. By this time, Hillary has already fabricated the story that a pastor in California made a YouTube video that caused a mob to attack, a total lie. She then, to fulfill her end of the deal, starts emailing the files to random staff members on accident, quote unquote, while allowing the bin Laden family to intercept the data while it was in motion. At this point, some of her staff planned to defect. It was these people who were ultimately leaking the DNC emails to WikiLeaks. She was told the Benghazi server was destroyed, and she believed it. At least she hoped it was true. Little did she know that it was at that time our own intel community began to hack her personal emails as well, while giving them to Julian Assange. The day before the election, they were going to drop this bomb to destroy her, but by that time, they knew Trump was going to win. Here is even more crazy information. List of senators who know about it. There was a total of $1.7 trillion given in grants to spread the wealth to try to sweep things under the rug. Things were getting very desperate for many. The money was granted by Obama to Mideast nations, given back to our politicians through a series of Swiss entities. The Clintons have hundreds of these entities alone. The money was granted by Obama to Mideast nations, then given back to our politicians through a series of Swiss entities. John McCain is at the top of the list of recipients. He and other Republicans just trace those who campaigned against Trump, and it will lead to all who are guilty. And it gets even crazier. Chris Stevens had a few more gifts that he did not know anything about. These gifts were 7 Davy Crockett M388 nuclear mortars. Obama had the weapons declassified and transferred to the Syrians through a group in Benghazi. Ultimately, in September, one of these weapons was used and killed nearly 20 Russian troops in Syria. That's right, American nukes killing Russian troops. Remember, Putin ordered 40 million Russian citizens to perform a nuclear evacuation. That was his response to send a message to Hillary, what he was preparing for if she got in. Now we know that the remaining 6 Davy Crockett's are in the hands of Iran. And we also know that Obama, or having lifted the nuclear restrictions on Iran, we also know that Obama gave Iran $150 billion. So again, stressing, this is somebody else's alleged theory of what happened, but it's an interesting thought, wouldn't you say? And I'm presenting it here to you in the hopes that we can endeavor to maybe dig a little deeper into what is being said here and maybe put some things together that could make this make a lot more sense. But I'm going to leave it for us all to continue to dig on as we move forward. But with that, a few other stories I guess we'll touch on before we wrap it up. There's this big story now. You know, they're coming out. It's going to be Clapper and Brennan. You know that John Durham went to Italy and has expanded his investigation. Now it's a criminal inquiry, and it's going to end up exposing some of the most heinous crimes against our country, I believe, and our democratic republic and our democratic institutions at large that anyone could imagine. Here you have James Clapper just admitting that Obama ordered the bogus Russia collusion investigation. Of course, we all know that. Now you have this coming out. Andrew McCabe has suddenly dropped his wrongful termination case against the DOJ. Well, that's so fascinating. It just comes on the heels of this right here, which you can't hear the volume on right now, but this is actually an interesting story where you have Lisa Page apparently, according to new reports, was not only having an affair with Peter Strzok, but was having an affair with Andrew McCabe as well. Well, what do you know? That's fascinating, if true. And that would explain a lot, given what we are finding out more and more. Now, the AmericanReport.com, Mary Fanning and Alan Jones doing more incredible reporting, this time breaking down the way that John Brennan has tried to explain away his illegal spying on the Trump administration and Obama's political enemies in this article that has just been released over here at the AmericanReport.org. So it gives so much information in this article. We're not going to be able to touch on every single thing, but some things I want to highlight. First off, they talk about the use of BlackBerries, and that is really important because BlackBerries are one of the few devices which it's talked about in this article are used by intelligence officials for the fact that they can be encrypted in a way where they cannot be hacked. And that is one of the reasons why we hear everybody talk about Hillary's BlackBerries and smashing them with a hammer. And it talks about here in the article why, or asks the question, I guess, why Hillary was going on eBay and buying used BlackBerries so they couldn't be connected to the government. And everything that we talked about with that theory regarding Benghazi and the server and the illegal communications and the basically treasonous communications, if true, that is why they felt they had to just go all out. And because at that point, they really have nothing to lose. This is why there are some important parts to take away from this story. First of all, talking about how Brennan's concocted this Trump-Russia intelligence fusion center narrative as a cover story because Brennan and Clapper had illegally commandeered what we've talked about here before, the hammer NSA super surveillance system for illegal domestic surveillance and for wiretapping Trump, apparently, in violation of the CIA's charter. Now, the CIA is not chartered the same way as the FBI or the NSA. The CIA is chartered in a way which makes it illegal for them to use their powers or their powers of surveillance against U.S. domestic assets, citizens, whatever. To use it domestically is illegal. So they set up this task force basically to get around that, meaning they brought in the FBI and the NSA and or whoever, and they said, we were working with these people, so therefore we can, spy on President Trump using this super surveillance system, which is completely illegal. But somehow they were able to make the justification in their own mind about what happened. Now, I want to read this part of the article here to you because it kind of gives you a little light on what happened. It says, on August 17, 2018, MSNBC, John Brennan was a national security and intelligence analyst on that channel, and he told Rachel Maddow that he formed an interagency task force at the CIA to investigate foreign intelligence allegations against the Trump campaign. Going further, Brennan stated, we put together a fusion center at CIA that brought NSA and FBI officers together with CIA to make sure that those proverbial dots would be connected. Yeah, that's interesting. And it talks about how whistleblower Dennis Montgomery has a different and far more disturbing version of the events that contradict John Brennan's Fusion Center fable. It goes on to say, on February 3rd, 2009, Brennan and Clapper commandeered the powerful foreign surveillance tool known as the Hammer and turned it against America for the purpose of blackmail and leverage. Brennan and Clapper took the Hammer that Montgomery designed and built, or the Montgomery designed and built supercomputer system that had previously served as a foreign surveillance tool and that was once located at E-Trepid Technologies in Reno and later in Blixware in Washington State, and relocated it on February 3rd, 2009 to a CIA facility in Fort Washington, Maryland. At the Fort Washington facility, Brennan and Clapper transformed the Hammer into a domestic surveillance tool and began targeting President Obama's political enemies. Brennan's fabricated fusion center coverage story will likely fall apart just as the Trump-Russian collusion hoax fell apart like a house of cards. Military sources told the American Report that the Hammer features multiple echelons of safeguards and sign-offs to prevent intelligence personnel up to and including the President of the United States from using the system for unlawful domestic surveillance. Brennan and Clapper bypassed those safeguards, setting up an even more powerful Hammer system in Fort Washington and illegally repurposed the foreign surveillance tool for domestic surveillance, turning America into a Stasi-style police state. And it goes further to say Robert Mueller's FBI provided the computers for the Hammer, according to Montgomery. So that is an important piece of information here, and you gotta, read these stories and come over here and check out the work that Mary Fanning and Alan Jones are doing because it's important. They even give you this whole write-up on Deborah Curtis, the assistant U.S. attorney, who, basically offered Montgomery limited immunity, the whistleblower Dennis Montgomery, in exchange for the 47 hard drives, and then she just turns around and all of a sudden joined the special counsel's team and became the lead prosecutor on General Flynn's case before she just abruptly left the DOJ. You can't make this stuff up. This is so on its face absurd and terrible, and it must be investigated. And again, like I said, you can go further into this story and see how it all has developed. And there's a full timeline. It talks about Sidney Powell and what's happening with General Flynn and how this whole thing came about. There's a lot of information. You should go read it. And I can tell you that you're going to learn a lot by checking out these stories and kind of just trying to digest it little by little. And that's pretty much most everything I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, I want to thank you guys for coming here and checking out the channel. Come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you watch these videos, share them on your social media, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we talked about here today on the channel. A few more things before we go. Be brave. Download the Brave browser. It's an incredible product. It's got so many features that you guys should check out and use. What you do is you use the link in the description of this video to download it, then you install it. You run it just like you would Google Chrome or Internet Explorer Why is Brave better? Because it gets rid of the ads. It gives you, an incredible, really powerful VPN and Tor browser that you can use inside of the program without doing any other downloads. It's got so many other features that you'll love, and it makes using the internet that much easier. That's why I think it's great. I use it. I think you guys should use it. And when you download it using the link in the description, you actually support the channel. So it's a win-win. Also, don't forget to go check out RedPillLiving.com. So many great products. That also helps the channel. Use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED for 10% off, and use the link in the description to get to RedPillLiving.com/JustInformed so you can get your discount, and let them know that you're supporting this channel by going and checking out their products, and only get them if you want to use them. I know my family, we like to use them, and that's why I'm encouraging y'all to go check it out. So go check out RedPillLiving.com. Use the link in the description. Use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED to get 10% off your order, and that really helps out the channel. A couple other ways: come find me over here on Twitter at JustinformedU, the official Twitter handle, where we can have a conversation. And if you guys aren't on Twitter, you should get on and see what's going on over here. Twitter is just like the Wild West right now, and it's really incredible what's happening here. So if you guys aren't doing that, you should do it. If you are on Twitter and you're not connected with me, please, I would love to have you guys come connect. Don't forget to check out JustinformedNews.com, the official website. Links to the different Q stuff, breaking news, or news websites, breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel. That's a great tool for you guys to use, JustinformedNews.com. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial, Patreon.com, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. Your help, your support keeps this channel alive. Let's put it that way. YouTube's demonetized the channel. I'm doing everything I can to keep it going, but your support is what keeps it alive, and I thank you so much for everyone who comes here. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. I know you're helping create content here on the channel. I also have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, links to everything that we've talked about will be in the description, so you guys should go check that out. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, I was blessed to have a really powerful worship service this morning, and it was kind of a small, very small, intimate setting, and it was very powerful. And one of the verses that we shared in it was this verse out of the book of Philippians that I want to share with you from chapter 2, talking about Christian humility and how we need to be lights in the world. And it was so powerful that I thought, I want to share this with you guys here, and I hope these words touch your heart as they have mine, and I just hope that we can share in this. It says, this is again Philippians chapter 2 verse 1 through 18. It says, "If then there is any encouragement in Christ, if any consolation of love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any affection and mercy, fulfill my joy by thinking the same way, having the same love, sharing the same feelings, focusing on one goal. Do nothing out of rivalry or conceit, but in humility consider others as more important than yourselves. Everyone should look out not only for his own interests, but also the interests of others. Make your own attitude that of Christ Jesus, who existing in the form of God, did not consider equality with God as something to be used for his own advantage. Instead, he emptied himself by assuming the form of a slave, taking on the likeness of men, and when he had come as a man in his external form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even to death on a cross. For this reason God also highly exalted him and gave him the name that is above every name, so that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, of those who are in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So then, my dear friends, just as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now even more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who is working in you, enabling you both to will and to act for his good purpose. Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may be blameless and pure, children of God who are faultless in a crooked and perverted generation, among whom you shine like stars in the world. Hold firmly the message of life, then I can boast in the day of Christ that I didn't run in vain or labor for nothing. But even if I am poured out as a drink offering on the sacrifice and service of your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. In the same way, you also should rejoice and share your joy with me. And I hope that those words touch your heart as they touched mine. And I want to remind you that living a Christian life is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And we have to live and lead by example and put others ahead of ourselves and live a righteous life. And we may not be perfect. We may stumble, but we have to pick ourselves up and remember that even if we're just poured out as a drink offering on the sacrifice and service of your faith, we can still take solace in the fact that we have lived and led a righteous life for God to help others, to be a light in the world. That is my message to you, and I want you to share that with your family, your friends, your loved ones, your coworkers, even people you meet in the streets. Let them know that you are a righteous and good person who is going to do the right thing, and you do it by example and deed and action, and that's what I encourage you to do. That's where I'm gonna leave it. Thanks for watching. Come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit it, bop it, elbow it, tap it, headbutt it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.